School of Management Studies, IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 006 Marketing Management for MBA program. Block 1 Introduction to Marketing and Markets. Unit 4 Consumer Behaviour. Part 1.
In this unit, you will learn first how to define consumer behavior and what it is meant by consumer behavior. Second, understand its role and importance for a marketer. Third, identify the major factors that influence a consumer's purchase decision and behavior. Fourth, study each of the major influencing factors in detail to be able to understand. Fifth, know the levels of consumer decisions. Sixth, appreciate the process of decision making. Seventh, relate models of consumer behavior. Eighth, understand organizational buying behavior and the process of organization buying. Introduction. Mr. Rao is an office manager with a fast-growing mid-sized advertising agency in the city of Hyderabad of Telangana state. Mr. Rao's wife is a homemaker, while his son is an IT professional and his daughter is a management graduate. Each member of Mr. Rao's household is a well-defined consumer entity having different tastes and preferences, likes and dislikes, and adopts different behavior patterns while making purchase decisions. The family may prefer to use either Colgate or Pepsodent toothpaste, Synthol or Dove toilet soap, and Halo or Head and Shoulder shampoo, or any other specific brand that each member may buy and use as per their affinity or loyalty towards a specific brand. If you closely observe Mr. Rao's and his family buying patterns, probably you will try to relate almost a similar behavior pattern in your own family as well. As a consumer, you may have a certain set of preferences in food, clothing, books, magazines, recreational activities, forms of savings, and the stores from where you prefer to shop, which may be different not only from those of your family members, but also your friends, neighbors, and colleagues. Each consumer is unique, and this uniqueness is reflected in the consumption behavior, pattern, and process of purchase. The study of consumer behavior provides us with reasons why consumers differ from one another in buying and using products and services. What products and services do we buy? Why do we buy? How often do we buy? And from where do we buy? How we buy, etc. are the issues which are dealt with in the discipline of consumer behavior. Consumer behavior can be defined as those acts of individuals, consumers, directly involved in obtaining, using, and disposing of economic goods and services, including the decision processes that precede and determine these acts. Let's again go back to Mr. Rao is an office manager by profession in an advertising firm. In view of the rapid growth in terms of acquiring new clients and rendering best of the services, management felt that the current desktops being used by the executives needs to be replaced with a more advanced and sophisticated systems for superior quality and speed. Accordingly, Mr. Rao was assigned the task of identifying and compiling some of the best brands available in the market and to prepare a detailed summary of each of the systems on various criteria and to submit to the management for further course of action. In the above scenario, you will find that Mr. Rao is playing a dual role both as an individual or personal consumer in the context of the household with his own likes and dislikes in choosing his products or service offerings. While on the other hand, having been assigned the task of identifying and purchasing new desktops for the company, he would be buying on behalf of the organization as an organizational buyer by virtue as of his position as an office manager. Therefore, when he is buying for the organization, his buying process and behavior would be completely different in terms of product identification, brand selection and choice, the pricing, the delivery, installation, after-sales service, and a host of allied aspects will be considered. This change in organizational buying behavior is primarily due to the firm's policies and procedures and other set of guidelines that, as an employee, he should adhere while acquiring any kind of assets for the organization. In this unit, we shall discuss some of the basic issues of consumer behavior and shall outline the major influences which shape an individual's consumer behavior and preferences. The unit also discusses how, as a personal consumer and an organizational consumer, arrives at the decision to purchase a specific product or brand out of so many available in the market. In other words, we shall study the process of consumer decision making. Besides, we will also touch upon individual behavior and major influences while buying on behalf of the organization, as in case of Mr. Rao. Consumer behavior and its importance for marketers. Consumer behavior is helpful in understanding the purchase behavior and preferences of different consumers. As consumers, we differ in terms of our age, sex, education, occupation, income, family setup, religion, nationality, and social status. Because of these different background factors, we have different needs and we only buy those products and services which we think will satisfy our needs. In marketing terminology, specific types or groups of consumers buying different products or variation of the same basic product represent different market segments. To successfully market to different market segments, the marketing manager needs appropriate marketing strategies which he can design only when he understands the factors which account for these differences in consumer behavior and tastes. In today's world of rapidly changing technology, consumer tastes and preferences are also characterized by rapid changes. To survive in the market, a firm has to be constantly innovating and understand the latest consumer trends and tastes. Consumer behavior provides invaluable clues and guidelines to marketers on new technological frontiers which they should explore. For example, let us consider the advent of smart television in India. When we switched over from CRT color television sets in the late 90s, the consumers exhibited a desire to purchase a smart TV for closer to live picture viewing with advanced applications and sophisticated features. Consumer behavior is a process, and purchase forms one part of this process. There are various endogenous, psychological, and exogenous type of influence which they exert on an individual's consumption behavior can be understood and analyzed. Moreover, some of these factors can be further influenced by specific elements of the marketing strategy so that the consumer behavior process results in a definite purchase decision. To the extent that the marketer can understand and manipulate the influencing factors, he can predict the behavior of consumers. Though prediction can never be absolutely accurate, it certainly reduces the risk associated with the different marketing strategies. Thus, the importance of consumer behavior lies in the fact that behavior can be understood and influenced to ensure a positive purchase decision. The marketing manager's interest lies exactly here, that is, to ensure that his marketing strategy results in purchase of the product. Types of consumers. All consumers can be classified into two types, personal and organizational. When you buy a shirt for your own use, you are buying in your capacity as a personal consumer. However, when you are buying a computer for use in office, you are buying the purchase in your capacity as an organizational consumer. Whenever you buy goods and services for your own or for family use, you are a representative of a personal consumer. All individuals thus fall in the category of personal consumer. All business firms, government agencies and bodies, non-business organizations such as hospitals, temples, and trusts are organizational consumers of goods and services purchased for running the organization. In this unit, our focus is on the personal consumer and factors influencing his or her behavior. We will also touch upon the organizational consumers as well and the factors influencing their behavior. Buyer versus user. Often the person who purchases a product is not the person who actually consumes or uses the product. A mother buys toys and clothes for consumption by her young children. The mother is the buyer, but the actual consumers are the children. A car is purchased by the husband or the wife, but is used by all the members of the family. Thus, in the family context, you may either have the situation where the buyer is distinct from the consumer or the buyer is the only one of the many consumers. The question that arises is, who should be the subject of study in consumer behavior? Should we study the buyer or the consumer? To overcome this problem, in many instances, it is the household or the family and not the individual who is considered the subject of the study. As a marketer, should have a very sharply defined focus for marketing strategy, especially promotional strategy. You must identify the best prospect for your products, whether it is the buyer or the user. But even when the consumer is distinct from the buyer, the consumer's likes and dislikes, taste, etc. influence the buyer's decision to purchase a specific product or brand. Thus, many companies play it safe and focus their promotion at both the user and the buyer. Consider the promotional message of Maggi noodles and Rasna soft drink concentrate. The taste and fun aspects of both these products are meant to appeal to the children who are the major consumers, while the convenience in case of noodles and economy in case of Rasna are meant to appeal to the mothers who are the buyers. A model of consumer behavior. A consumer's decision to purchase a particular product or service is the result of complex interplay of a number of variables. The starting point for the decision process is provided by the company's marketing stimuli in the shape of product, promotion, price, and distribution strategy. The marketing stimuli are received by the potential consumer along with the other stimuli already existing in the environment. These stimuli may be social, economic, cultural, technological, and political in nature. At the point of receiving the marketing stimuli, the consumer already has a certain mental, emotional, and psychological frame of mind developed over the years by his cultural, religious, social, family, and psychological background. However, most of these factors or bias characteristics exert their influence at the subconscious level so that the consumer is not really aware of their existence or working. When a stimulus is received, the consumer goes through an elaborate process of decision making in terms of receiving, retaining, interpreting, and evaluating the stimuli according to his own framework. Depending on the nature of product being purchased, this process may work at the subconscious level or it may be overt. The time taken to make the decision may vary from a few seconds to a few days or months. The buyer characteristics and buyer decision-making process in conjunction with marketing stimuli lead to a decision to either buy the product or not to buy. For instance, you are on your way home from office after a hot, long, tiring day. On the way, you see a hoarding for a lemonade drink which promises to be cool, refreshing and tasteful. This hoarding provides you stimulus to stop at the nearest cold drink shop and drink lemonade. All three brands X, Y and Z are available at the shop at a certain price. You can recall some association with each of the three brands from the advertisements you have seen on TV, hoardings and magazines. You buy a particular brand of cola and consume it. The initial stimulus for this purchase and consumption was provided by the hoarding. This was further backed up by other stimuli such as product display in the shop, watching other consumers buy a particular brand, any point of purchase promotion material, earlier satisfaction with a given brand, etc. Your response to these stimuli results in a purchase of a particular brand. In between the process of receiving this stimuli and responding to them, you went through a decision-making process. The stimuli, the process of decision-making and response constitute a simple model of consumer behavior. Factors influencing consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is affected by a host of variables ranging from person motivations, needs, attitudes and values, personality characteristics, socio-economic and cultural background, age, sex, professional status, to social influences of various kinds exerted by family, friends, colleagues, and society as a whole. The combinations of these various factors produce a different impact on each one of us as manifested in our different behavior as consumers. You may think that the best way of utilizing your annual saving is to have a holiday, but your wife thinks it is wisest to invest in a house, while a colleague considers buying shares as the best way of spending savings. Thus, you should find that each person has his or her own standards of judgments and distinct behavior in every aspect of his role as a consumer. But at the same time, underlying the individual differences are similarities which help explain behavior of specific types or groups of people. It is these similarities which make it possible for us to classify and analyze the behavior of individual consumers. Psychological factors such as individual consumer needs and motivations, perceptions, attitudes, the learning process and personality characteristics are the similarities which operate across different types of people and influence their behavior. Amongst the social influences affecting behavior, we can classify the influences of family, friends, leaders, and the social class to which the consumer belongs.
Psychological factors. Consumer needs and motivations. We all have needs and we consume different goods and services with the expectation that they will help fulfill these needs. When a need is sufficiently pressing, it directs the person to seek its satisfaction. It is known as motive. All our needs can be classified into two categories, that is primary and secondary. Primary needs or motives are the psychological needs which we are born with, such as the need for air, water, food, clothing, shelter, and sex. The secondary needs are our acquired needs, which we have developed in response to the society and environment in which we live. The secondary needs are the result of the individual's psychological makeup and his relationship with other members of the society. The secondary needs may include the need for power, prestige, esteem, affection, learning, status, etc. Clothing is a primary need for all of us, but the need for three-piece raiment suit or Kanjivaram sari or silk dress are expressions of our acquired needs. The man wearing a three-piece raiment suit may be seeking to fulfill his status need or his ego need by impressing his friends and family. All human needs can be classified into 5 hierarchical categories, and this hierarchy is universally applicable. The theory of hierarchy of needs was propounded by Abraham Maslow. According to Maslow's hierarchy, all needs can be ranked in order of importance from the low biological needs to the higher level psychological needs. Each level of unfulfilled need motivates the individual's behavior, and as each successive level of need is fulfilled, people keep moving on to the next higher level of need. There is always scope for further fulfillment. Maslow's hierarchy of human needs helps us understand consumer motivations. It is useful for the marketer who can identify what generic level need his product is capable of fulfilling and accordingly position his product and back it up with relevant marketing inputs. Products such as food and clothing are bought to fulfill physiological needs. Insurance, burglar alarms, security services are purchased because they fulfill safety needs. Most personal care products such as soap, toothpaste, shaving cream, perfumes are bought primarily because they serve social needs. And luxury products such as jewelry, expensive clothing, fancy house and cars are bought mainly to serve ego and self-actualization needs. The same product can be sold to entirely distinct customer segments provided the marketer can correctly identify the need which the product is fulfilling. For instance, a bicycle may be bought by different customer segments for entirely different reasons. One segment may buy to use it as a means of commuting. For another segment, a bicycle serves as recreational or leisure need, while for a third segment, it fulfills the need of a health aid. Still another customer segment buys a bicycle for converting into a rickshaw or bicycle cart for selling fruits, vegetables, etc. A bicycle is also purchased for use in competitive sport. Perception. The second major psychological factor that influences consumer behavior is perception. Perception can be described as how we see the world around us. All the time we are receiving messages through our 5 sense organs, viz, eyes, ears, nose, mouth and skin. The different sights, sounds, smells, tastes and sensations that we feel are known as stimuli. Each person recognizes, selects, organizes and interprets these stimuli in his own individual manner based on his needs, values and expectations, and this is known as perception. Since each individual's needs, motives and expectations are unique, therefore each individual's perception is also unique. Perception helps to explain the phenomenon of why different individuals respond differently to the same stimulus under the same condition. As a marketing manager, you are providing stimulus to your consumers through the physical shape, color, size, fragrance, and feel, taste of your product, its package, advertisements, and commercials. Your interest is to understand why and what different types of perceptions are associated with each of the stimuli so that you can highlight that particular stimulus or combination of stimuli which evokes the most favorable perception in the maximum number of consumers. For example, generally consumers tend to perceive the quality of perfumes on the basis of package, brand name, price, and manufacturer's image. Every day, every hour of our life, we are being bombarded with a variety of stimuli. If we were to analyze and interpret each one of these stimuli, it may drive us crazy. But we all have an inbuilt screening system which helps us to select and recognize only the relevant stimuli and ignore all the others. As a person involved in marketing, you would like to ensure that the stimuli which you are providing are not ignored by the consumers, but rather they are recognized, interpreted, and retained in the consumer memory. In this context, there are 3 aspects of perception which are of immediate interest to the marketer. These are selective exposure, selective distortion, and selective retention. selective exposure. You must have noticed that when you are on the lookout for purchasing a specific product, be it bike, refrigerator, television, or any other high-value product or service, you suddenly seem to notice more than the usual number of advertisements pertaining to that specific product. This is because of your selective exposure. People are more likely to notice stimuli which relate to their immediate needs. For the marketer, the implication is that he has to carefully and accurately identify his potential customers, since other customers are not at all likely to notice the stimuli. Having identified the potential customers, the marketer has to ensure that the stimuli are interesting enough to attract and hold their attention. Selective distortion. Let us suppose you have decided to purchase a specific brand A of pressure cooker. Since you have already made your decision, you would seek only that information which reinforces the correctness of your decision. If you hear some positive remarks made about brand B, you would tend to find some shortcoming or flaw in that brand so that you do not feel that you have made a wrong decision by buying brand A. When you attempt to fit information to suit your own ideas or personal meaning, the process is known as selective distortion. Thus, a marketer may find that his message is often not received in the intended manner, but it is twisted in different ways by different consumers. Selective retention. People forget much of the stimuli which they receive and only retain that information which reinforces their values and decisions. You are more likely to remember the positive features of brand A pressure cooker since they help reassure you that the decision which you had made was correct. Learning. A newborn infant's sucking at the feeding bottle is instinctive behavior, but a 5-year-old clamoring for chocolate or chewing gum is a result of learned behavior. Much of an adult's human behavior is learned behavior. This is a very significant fact for marketers because it implies that consumers can be made to learn the desired behavior through an interplay of motives, stimuli, cues, responses, and reinforcements. A housewife has the need for cutting down the time she spends for cooking in the kitchen. When this need is strong enough to propel her to take action, it becomes a motive. The motive is directed towards the stimulus object, a pressure cooker. The stimuli are the various advertisements about the product which she sees and hears. Cues are minor stimuli that determine when, where, and how the housewife responds. Positive feedback about pressure cooker from a friend, seeing it on display in a show window, a special introductory price offer are all examples of cues which influence a housewife's response to the motive for buying a pressure cooker. Suppose the housewife buys the pressure cooker and is satisfied with its performance. Then the chances are that she would like to use it as often as possible and in the future may buy another one. The housewife's response to pressure cookers has been reinforced. At some later stage, the same housewife wants to buy a food processor. Since she has had a positive experience with brand A pressure cooker, she may infer that the company manufacturing brand A also makes good food processor and choose it over other brands. This is known as generalization of response. Learning refers to the skill and knowledge gained from past experience which we apply to evaluate future decisions and situations. A marketer can build up demand for his brand by associating it with strong motives, using the appropriate stimuli and cues, and providing positive reinforcement, thus making the consumer learn that the brand is good and worth patronizing. Beliefs and attitudes. A belief is a descriptive thought that a person has about something. A person may believe that a certain cooking oil X has the lowest fat content and is best for health. This belief may be based on some real facts, or it may merely be a notion or opinion that the person has. The belief that the customer has about a brand is important because it determines his behavior towards buying and using it. The beliefs constitute the brand image, and if the customer has the wrong beliefs, he or she is likely to generate a negative image about the brand. The marketer must ensure that consumers have all relevant and correct information about the brand to to facilitate formation of a positive brand image. Attitude is a person's enduring feeling, evaluation and tendency towards a particular idea or object. Starting from childhood, attitudes develop over the time with each fresh knowledge input, experience and influence. Attitudes get settled into specific patterns and are difficult to change. It is easier to market a product which fits in well with the existing patterns of attitudes rather than change the attitudes to fit a new product concept.
We were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program, course code Mmpc 006, Marketing Management. Course Coordinator Professor T.B. Vijay Kumar, School of Management Studies IGNOU. Voiceover by Harpreet Kaur. Edited by Savita. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.